The framework for a tentative trade deal with China may be underway. According to the Wall Street Journal, Washington would suspend tariffs in exchange for big changes in Chinese economic policy. This, according to officials from both sides. The deal would be similar to partial agreements that the U.S. has struck with the European Union and also with Japan recently. Let's talk through it. So joining us now, Peterson Institute senior fellow Nicholas Lardy. He's the author of the book Markets Over Mao, and it's great to have you on the program, Nicholas. So I was reading this Wall Street Journal report saying that they're favoring architecture over agenda, but I can tell you that the markets are basically pricing in a deal a little bit above zero at this point.
Well, I think there's a lot of speculation going on about what might happen. Some are on the optimistic side, thinking there's going to be some kind of progress. Others, Larry Kudlow said the other day he thinks Trump's going to hold out for very substantial changes, and he doubts that an agreement will be reached. I think in the end it's going to be up to the president to decide, and so you have a lot of people on the sidelines trying to guess which way he's going to go. I don't think we'll know until the meeting actually happens. Well,
Nicholas, you brought up Larry Kudlow. He's on the moderate side, also along with Steve Mnuchin, and the reemergence of Jared Kushner in Buenos Aires. But those are the moderates. They have to go up against the hardline hawks, namely Navarro, Lighthizer, and Bolton. And with Navarro attending that Xi-Trump dinner, they're saying that hopes of a deal are fading.
Well, again, I think it's all speculation, and it may depend on what kind of a mood the president is when he has the meeting.
Okay, and what kind of mood do you think he'll be in?
Pardon?
What kind of mood do you think President Trump will be in?
I have no idea. I think he's quite mercurial, and he's emphasized in the past what a good relationship he has with Xi and how important that is, and so he may bend over backwards to try to reach a deal. If he's in the other mood, then he'll take a much tougher line and probably go ahead and put on additional tariffs, as has been discussed frequently over the last few months.
Yeah, which the market probably doesn't want to see. We have former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers. He's on the debut episode of the WSJ at Large tomorrow at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Take a listen to what he said to Jerry Baker about dealing with the Chinese.
We in the United States need to be very clear. We are entitled and we are right to reject Chinese cheating, Chinese violation of the rules that don't cover unfair practices. We're right when we're against that. But when our position is that China can't succeed and that China is not allowed to succeed, or it's somehow wrong for China to succeed, that's an untenable position for us politically and an untenable position for us economically.
Yeah, also a tough position politically. Nicholas, what do you think?
Well, I think Larry makes a very good point. We can't use trade rules of the international system to just kind of hold China down. They're moving ahead. There's a lot of indigenous innovation in China. They're moving up in terms of the level of innovation, the level of technology in quite a large number of industries. And I think that's going to continue inevitably. And the idea that we can, stop that or significantly slow it down, I think is mistaken. Yeah. It's not only wrong for the reasons that Larry said, but I think it won't work.
Well, okay, what about the precarious situation that China's in at this point? They have a slowing economy. In fact, predictions are that with this ongoing trade war, their economy is slowing and could slow by 1 full percentage point. That's a lot when you're talking about an economy as big as China is.
Well, so far they haven't slowed significantly. They're growing quite well. Domestic demand is growing at over 7% per year, and if Trump puts on tariffs on everything, it will slow things down. They can take offsetting action, but they would probably suffer somewhat. But that's if you believe
the numbers, Nicholas. I mean, do you really trust that the economy is growing at 6.5% with the stock market down over 30% and manufacturing and some of the ISM numbers that you're seeing are contracting?
Well, yes, in any economy there are some things contracting and some things expanding, so you can cherry pick to try to tell a story. But I think the aggregate data are very clear. Domestic demand is growing at more than 7% in China in the first 3 quarters. There's not much evidence of a slowdown in the domestic economy.
Nicholas, thank you so much. Great to have you as always. Nicholas Lardy there of the Peterson Institute.